So I'm honoured to be once again joined by Adam Smith here. We're at a fantastic GBM show in Sheffield. What are you expecting from tomorrow night?
Yeah, really excited. Great to see you, by the way, and Happy New Year if it's not too late. We're in February, it seems a bit strange. But we kick off the year with a big show tomorrow night. Obviously, we've lost the main headline event with the European light heavyweight title, but it's still a serious outing for many, many young fighters, and a packed-out arena is always great in Sheffield. The Yorkshire fans will be out. Just chatting to the Yorkshire Yardie, and Tally Nemhard, and he's got, I think he sold a couple of hundred tickets, and Ed Hardy, the farm boy's on. You've got Taz Nadeem, the butcher, with all his power, and of course at the top of the bill, the two Shaqs, Shakan Pitters, meant to be fighting for the European 12 stone 7 belt, and unfortunately that didn't happen. The opponent wasn't allowed, and then they tried to get another one, and you run out of time with these things, and that's the boxing business. But Shakan's a totally dedicated professional. He'll go out there and he'll hopefully take care of business tomorrow night. It's a fight he should obviously win, but these things are tough when you have expectations, and then you've got to sort of reset yourself. And the same a little bit for Shaquille Thompson too. It's a Shaq attack. It's two Shaqs tomorrow night. But he's linked. He's been linked with some big fights. He looked at a fight with Janabek, which was a huge step up for him, and the team looked at that and they decided it wasn't the right time right now, and so he's got to sort of get that out of his head and concentrate on who's in front of him tomorrow night. And that David Benavidez, he came and he's come with his big flag and his shades, and he's looking ready to bring some fire to the show. So look, I mean, again, both Shaqs are expected to come through tomorrow night, but we've got to look at them and assess whether they're ready for huge nights ahead this year. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a diverse show. There's lots of characters on it, lots of talent, and GBM shows are always fun, big entertainment, and a great production, and live on DAZN. We'll see some good fights tomorrow night.
So the talk of the town is February 22nd. We are really not far away now. You're going to be there. I'm going to be there. What a card it is going to be. I guess, obviously, you're probably not going to be able to give predictions, but if you could kind of, fight by fight, what are you expecting from the card?
Well, February the 22nd, I think, is the greatest card, top to bottom, at top level, that I've seen. I mean, I was scratching my head going back through the annals trying to find something that beats it. I remember a Don King show in, I think it was Memphis maybe, which had many world title fights on, but a lot were expected to win. They were sort of quite soft defenses, whereas this is just phenomenal. I mean, Beterbiev and Bivol, the rematch happening so quickly for a rematch, that's fantastic. It was great first time around. I thought Bivol nicked it, but many people, people were one way or the other. It was an interesting one, and obviously they're the two best on the planet, so let's see them again. That's fantastic. Co-main event, I mean, again, that could sell out anywhere, anytime. Daniel Dubois and Joseph Parker, both in tremendous form, the two of them. Daniel, of course, coming off that phenomenal victory, that crushing win over AJ in front of almost 100,000 at Wembley. What a statement from Dubois at just 27. He's got the world in his feet, but the problem is he's got to get past a guy who's not only been a world champion, but he's got this incredible relationship with Andy Lee, his trainer, and they've got this bond, and they're breaking up fighters, and Deontay Wilder and Zhilei Zhang, and the one thing I worry slightly with Joe, and I know them both really well, is that he's been out the ring for a while. He was getting real momentum, and then for some reason he didn't fight last year. I think it was March, and he's waited a long time to get back in the ring. That's the one thing I slightly worry about. Whereas Daniel's been more active. Daniel's got a lot of power, but Joe's really wily, and he's utilised this time with George Lockhart to put on a bit of strength as well. So I think he's going to come in quite a serious size as well, Parker. So look, Dubois probably the favourite going in, just with the youth and the power. But a lot of people I'm talking to fancy Joe Parker in this fight, and if they can come up with a game plan, which Andy Lee is a master at, if it goes past 4 or 5 rounds, it'll be very, very interesting. But Dubois hits really hard, and I went to the gym recently in Don Charles, and he's just, there's not many weaknesses in Daniel Dubois, but he has been stopped before, by Joe Joyce and Alexander Usyk. No disgrace there, and a stranger on that after the potential low blow, and that's obviously a rematch that's down there for Daniel Dubois, but he's got to get past Parker, and I think that's a tough ask. So that's the one fight I'm looking forward to all of them. I'm a massive admirer of Virgil Ortiz, but he's got a tough fight. Can Hamza Shiraz become a world champion? Zhilei Zhang and Agit Kabayel is a terrific matchup. Great, different styles and a great mix there, and obviously Boazzi and Smith is a terrific one too. It's just top to bottom. It's a fantastic card. I'm glad you're out there, and I can't wait to be in Riyadh. And well done, His Excellency, and everyone that's made such a card for the fans. It's just an electric one on the 22nd of February. So many big fights, and you just don't know who's going to win. I've forgotten Shakur Stevenson. How could I do that against Floyd Schofield? But it's easy to forget because there's so many great fights. Battle of the Unbeatens. Shakur I love. I think he's a superstar. I think he's already a star. I think he could become a real superstar of this sport. But Schofield's come up the quieter way, but he's a really, really good fighter, undefeated, and really fancies this. So yeah, let's get on that plane and get out there.
So after that, as if Riyadh season and His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh weren't doing enough, they then go to Tottenham in April. Eubank, Benn, we know the family history, we know the rivalry between them. It's now their 2 sons that are fighting. What a card that is.
Yeah, look, Chris Eubank and Conor Benn had to fight, didn't they, after what happened last time and the difficulties Conor's had out of the ring and the sort of waiting around that Chris has had. It's a matchup that is made for the casual fans. Let's be honest, it's some of the trade are not taking to it. There's 1 or 2 people who don't like the fight. I love the fight. I love stories. I was around the dads, Chris and Nigel, different characters, of course, polar opposites in personality and in boxing style, just like their sons. The sons of legends, and Tottenham's a great stadium for boxing. We were there with AJ, and obviously Tyson Fury's fought there. They're great, the staff there, the whole facilities. It's an unbelievable ground. I love boxing to go to Anfield personally because I'm a Liverpool fan, and of course we'll beat Spurs tonight. But that aside, on the boxing and on the sort of entertainment, they've got the artificial pitch they can bring out. They do for the NFL, which is fantastic. So look, it's a great venue for a great matchup. Needles, spice, and a lot of fire in the build-up. Can't wait for it. It's going to be an exciting night at the end of April, and it's one you can't pick either. I think it's a tough one to call.
And finally, there's talk of this boxing league with Turki Al-Sheikh. If it does get implemented and happens, what kind of impact do you think it'll have on the sport of boxing?
Well, Turki Al-Sheikh has completely spun boxing around. The whole landscape has changed in the last year and a half. It's unbelievable what he's done, really. Every card is almost better than the last card. They're talking about the league. They bought the Ring magazine, which is the Bible of boxing. What I grew up, wanting to sort of, somehow get into as a writer. I remember with Bert Sugar sitting around Vegas one night, and we were chatting, and the next month I was mentioned in the Ring magazine. It's like every fighter's dream is to be on the front cover. I just wanted to be mentioned. It was, it's like a boxing fan's dream. So he's taken over that. The Ring Awards were unbelievable a few weeks ago. He wants to do that with boxing, a little bit like what's happened with the UFC and the best fighting the best. He's sort of got that. So it'd be really interesting to see whether this league can come up, and if it look, everything he's done so far has been pretty phenomenal. So let's see what he can do with this. But yeah, look, obviously we at GBM, we want these big British shows here. That's important too. But Riyadh season have already gone out to the States, come here, Africa, I'm sure, with Bacoli and maybe AJ. So it's really interesting what's happening in the sport. But Turkey is a real boxing fan, and that's what is really important. You know, I think his favourite fighter was Mark Chamberlain for the first few months, not one of the big guys, and that just shows how much he loves it, the passion. And to see Eddie and Frank and Ben and Spencer all sort of working together, George Warren, Frank Smith, don't forget those, because they're the ones behind the scenes that do work all the magic. But yeah, it's terrific what's happened, and it's great that it's lit up boxing again, and it's giving opportunities for fighters that they would never had, life-changing money. And for fans, I mean, we're just getting an incredible feast of boxing on DAZN, on Sky, on Channel 5, everywhere. It's TNT, isn't it, tomorrow night, Saturday night rather, for Chisora. Just brilliant. Lots of broadcasters, huge amounts of fights, and I think the new sort of fight fever over in Riyadh has sort of made Britain want to sort of come up again, and the youngsters sort of get in their gyms and work hard and try and get onto the platform, because they know that boxing can now make them a lot of money, and that's great. And we've always had, boxing's been in cycles through the Olympics. You know, it's been hot in Germany, it's hot in America, it's hot in Britain. Okay, at the moment, Saudi Arabia, they're putting the money in, and you know, without Turki Al-Sheikh, I don't know what would have happened really at boxing at this time. It would have been very different. He's come in, and I think the right time, when like AJ and Fury, they're just sort of coming towards the Indian summers of their career. Tyson, has he retired? Has he not? But you know, we're looking for the new generation, and we've got the team out in Riyadh that just Salah are working their magic, and you know, the promos are phenomenal, the events are great, and yeah, it's just, as a fight fan, not as a broadcaster, as a fight fan, I'm getting the fights I want to see, and I'm sure you are too.
I know I said finally, but you did mention Derek Chisora there. Del Boy is last outing in the UK against Otto Wally, and I believe it's now for the IBF number 2 spot in the rankings. What do you feel about the situation there? Obviously, Del Boy, it's his last hurrah against Otto Wally, and can he get the job done?
Well, they're calling it the last dance, and I think it will be probably his last performance in Britain, maybe that's the sort of idea. And it's a tough fight actually against Otto Wallin. You know, an on-form Derek, a fired-up Derek, you know, could get the job done and could get it done within the distance. But Otto Wallin, if he gets in a rhythm, he can be a real tough handful of a fighter. Gave Tyson a hard night. AJ dealt with him though. Stick to the tactics. Derek's a wily old fox. You know, he should get the job done on Saturday night. But look, he's been around us forever. He's laced in this sport. He's an amazing character. Sometimes you get him on a good day, sometimes a bad day. He's unpredictable. He's fun. I tell you what, he loves my mum, and that is something that, for me, he's a gentleman, Derek, and we will really miss him. The hairs on the back of your neck stand up in that ring walk, and I just can't wait to be there on Saturday night. I'm there as a fan. I sort of had to be there, you know. It's one of those that I think he'll fight 50. I think he'll make it 50 and out. But you know, it's 49. You never know. Otto Wallin could win the fight. Who knows? But you just want to be there for Derek, because it's going to finish this year, whatever. And he's been an amazing entertainer and addition to British boxing. He hasn't necessarily won everything, but he's fought for a world title. He took on Vitaly Klitschko, did well actually that night, and he's given us so many great nights and fights. You know what I'd really like to see him? I'd like to see him get past Otto Wallin. I love Otto, by the way, lovely guy, but I'd like to see Derek get that win in Manchester, and I'd like to see him fight Dillian White as a final fight, because there's a lot of history there. They've had 2 amazing scraps before. They're great characters in the sport. That's the one I'd like to see Derek go out on.
Adam Smith, thanks so much for your time.